Where am I? Who are you? What did you do?
Good morning. You're safe. Coffee.
Marcus, I was wrong. I almost destroyed you. And you still treated me like a human being.
I know.
He carried his drunk boss home to keep her safe. She woke up the next morning and tried to destroy everything he had. He only tried to help her. She almost made him regret it. Marcus didn't ask for any of this. He was a single father, a hard worker, a man who paid his bills on time, packed his daughter's lunch every morning, and never once asked anyone for anything he hadn't earned. He lived by a simple rule: keep your head down, do your job, and protect what's yours. But one rainy Friday night in downtown Chicago, that rule got tested in a way he never saw coming. It started at the company's annual end-of-year party. Marcus worked as a senior logistics coordinator at Hartwell Solutions, a mid-sized supply chain firm on the north side of the city. He'd been there 6 years. 6 years of showing up early, staying late, covering shifts nobody else wanted to cover. 6 years of watching younger, less experienced employees get promotions while he stayed exactly where he was. His boss was a woman named Claire Hartwell, daughter of the company founder, 34 years old, sharp as a blade and twice as cold. She didn't smile much. She didn't joke. She handed out feedback like court summons, clean, formal, and impossible to argue with. Marcus respected her. He didn't particularly like her, but he respected her. The party was at a rooftop bar downtown, open bar, live music. Everyone was loosened up by 9 p.m. Marcus stayed sober. He always did at work events. He had a daughter at home, 7-year-old Amara, being watched by his neighbor Mrs. Chen, who had a strict midnight curfew. He wasn't about to be irresponsible. By 10:30, he was gathering his coat to leave when he noticed Claire standing alone near the edge of the rooftop railing. She was holding a glass of wine, but from the way she was standing, he could tell it wasn't her first, or her fourth. He walked over. Not because he had to, just because it was the right thing to do. "You need a ride home, Miss Hartwell?" She turned and he saw her eyes. Glassy, unfocused, a little lost. She laughed it off the way proud people do when they don't want to admit they need help. "I'm fine, Marcus." "Okay," he said, "but you're standing 3 feet from a ledge and you just called me Michael." She blinked. Then slowly the wall came down just enough. I don't actually remember where I parked," she admitted quietly. He called her a car. She refused to get in it. Said she didn't trust strangers. He called another one. She sat down on a bench and put her head in her hands. He stood there for a long moment, thinking about Amara waiting at home, about Mrs. Chen's midnight rule, about every way the situation could go wrong. Then he thought about what kind of man he wanted his daughter to grow up knowing her father was. He texted Mrs. Chen to ask if she could stay until 1 a.m. He helped Claire into his car. The ride was quiet. Claire dozed against the window. Somewhere between the highway and his neighborhood, she murmured her address. And it was 45 minutes in the opposite direction from where they were. Marcus sighed. He thought about dropping her at a hotel, but she had no bag, no purse, no phone he could see, and she was barely conscious. He made a decision he would spend the next 48 hours questioning. He took her home. His home. A modest 2-bedroom house in Evanston. Clean, warm, covered in Amara's drawings, her spelling tests stuck to the fridge with dinosaur magnets, her small pink rain boots by the door. He set Claire up on the couch with a blanket and a glass of water on the coffee table. He wrote a note. "You're safe. You're at my house. My name is Marcus Webb. Call someone in the morning." And left it on the cushion beside her. Then he went to bed. He woke up at 6:15 a.m. to the sound of his daughter's feet hitting the floor. He got up, made coffee, started scrambling eggs. Normal Saturday morning. He'd completely forgotten, for about 4 beautiful minutes, that there was a woman asleep on his couch. Then the door at the end of the hallway swung open. Claire Hartwell stood in the doorway wearing yesterday's clothes, hair tangled, mascara faded, staring at him like she'd woken up on another planet. Marcus turned around slowly, coffee mug in hand. "Good morning," he said carefully. She didn't say good morning back. She looked around the kitchen, the children's drawings, the small backpack hanging by the door, the pink lunchbox on the counter. Then she looked back at him, and the expression on her face shifted into something that made Marcus's stomach tighten. She looked scared, but not of him, of herself, of what she didn't remember. "What happened?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus set his mug down. You had too much to drink at the party. I couldn't get you in a rideshare. Your address was too far and you didn't have your things. I brought you here. You slept on the couch. I left you a note. She looked at the couch, found the note, read it. Her jaw tightened. Why didn't you just leave me at the bar? Because it was 11 p.m. and you were alone and you couldn't stand up straight. She said nothing for a long moment. Amara wandered in then, sleepy-eyed, curly hair everywhere, dragging a stuffed elephant behind her. Daddy, who's that? This is Miss Hartwell. She's Daddy's boss. She's going home soon. Amara stared at Claire with the blunt curiosity only 7-year-olds have. Did she have a sleepover? No, baby, she was just resting. Claire watched the little girl shuffle to the table and climb into her chair. Something in her expression changed, softened for just a second. Then she looked back at Marcus, and the wall went back up. I'd like to call a car, she said flatly. Phone's on the counter. He thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Monday morning, he walked into Hartwell Solutions and felt it immediately. The shift. The way people looked at him, and then looked away. The hush when he walked into the break room. His coworker Deja pulled him aside by the copier, eyes wide. Marcus, what happened Friday night? Nothing. I took Miss Hartwell home because she wasn't safe to be alone. End of story. Deja shook her head slowly. That's not the story going around. His chest went cold. Apparently, Claire had said something to someone. Just a passing comment, unclear, possibly misheard. And by Monday morning it had turned into a fully formed rumor that Marcus had taken his intoxicated boss somewhere without her consent. That she'd woken up confused and distressed. No one said the word. No one had to. HR called him in by 10 a.m. Marcus sat in that chair across from the HR director, a woman named Patricia, and he felt the ground shift under everything he had ever built. 6 years. His reputation, his job, his ability to keep the lights on and the refrigerator full, and Amara in her school with the good teachers who knew her name. He told the truth, calmly. Every detail, in order, without emotion. The rooftop, the rideshare she refused, the note he left, the couch, the eggs he made. Patricia listened with a careful, neutral face that told him nothing. Do you have anything to support your account? She asked. He thought for a moment, then he remembered. Mrs. Chen. He'd texted her at 10:47 p.m. asking to extend his time. He pulled up his phone. The message was still there. Time-stamped, clear. Mrs. Chen had replied with a thumbs up. He also remembered the note. He'd taken a photo of it before leaving it on the cushion. A habit he'd developed years ago. A quiet discipline. Document everything. He showed Patricia the photo. Claire Hartwell called him into her office that afternoon. She was standing when he entered. Arms crossed, window behind her, the late afternoon light making everything look colder than it was. Close the door, she said. He did. The silence was long enough that Marcus decided to fill it. I don't know exactly what you said or what you meant by it, he began, steady. But I kept you safe Friday night. Nothing else happened. I have the texts, the note, the timeline. My neighbor can confirm. I'm not going to let 6 years of work get buried because you were embarrassed about a situation that wasn't your fault and wasn't mine either. Claire looked at him for a long time. Then she did something he had never seen her do in 6 years. She exhaled, and her shoulders dropped. I didn't say anything to get you in trouble, she said quietly. I said I woke up somewhere unfamiliar and didn't know what had happened. I wasn't trying to accuse you. I was embarrassed and scared of my own memory, and I handled it badly. Marcus said nothing. I owe you an apology, she continued, and I owe HR a correction, which I've already sent in writing. He studied her face. She wasn't performing. She was humiliated, actually humiliated, in the specific way that comes from knowing you almost destroyed something real through your own cowardice. Your daughter, she said suddenly. He waited. She looked at me like I was just a normal person. Claire pressed her lips together. I haven't been looked at like that in a while. Marcus picked up his coffee mug from her desk where he'd set it down. "Up the world yet to look at people any other way," he said. "I'm trying to keep it that way as long as I can." He walked to the door, then stopped. "For the record, Miss Hartwell, I didn't help you Friday night because you're my boss. I helped you because you were a person who needed help. That's all." He left her office. 3 weeks later, Marcus was promoted to operations manager. Not because of that night, or maybe in spite of it. Claire never mentioned it again, and neither did he. But sometimes, at company meetings, he'd catch her glancing over at him with a look he'd learned to read. Not gratitude exactly, but the particular awareness someone carries when they know how close they came to being their worst self. And Marcus would just nod, slightly, and go back to his work. Because he was a single father who had a daughter watching everything he did, and he intended to give her something worth watching. Some people mistake kindness for weakness. But the man who carries you home safe when the whole world is dark, that's not weakness. That's the strongest thing there is.